Hey guys, just wanted to share some thoughts on Genesis 39, which I've been reading pretty recently. And so Genesis 39 is part of Joseph's story, which is told in multiple chapters within Genesis. This is just a little part of it. And for those of you who don't know, there's kind of the beginning of chapter 39 is him coming into an Egyptian household as a slave. He was sold into slavery by his brothers. And then goes through the story of there was kind of a scandalous thing with Potiphar's wife, who's his master, and you should read that for yourself. I don't have time to go into the details. And then toward the end, he actually gets thrown into prison because of that scandal. And so something that I was thinking about was actually related to prospering. So at the beginning of chapter 39, we actually read, Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt. Potiphar, an Egyptian who was one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him there. The Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. And so first of all, just that idea of prospering while in slavery, that sense of prospering was not at all connected to the material conditions of Joseph. In fact, he was a slave. He was in a foreign land. He was not with his family, and yet he was prospering, and it says, the Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered. And that kind of being the reason why we prosper. And so I've been thinking about it, and I think I tend to really connect all things together. So if some things are going well, then everything starts to go well with it. And I consider that to be prospering. So I was just trying to think about, like, what are some ways that I can, and we generally, I challenge you to do this as well, that we can kind of be thinking about God being with us and that being why we prosper regardless of circumstance. Maybe you have really good emotional feelings right now and you're in a really good place, or maybe you're in a really good material place right now, and you can prosper because God is with you. Or maybe it's on the flip side and you're actually not in a great place, but you can still prosper. And then the other thing is just kind of right at the end when he's in prison, I just was challenged to kind of maybe give myself some grace a little bit when I'm thinking about what prospering looks like in certain conditions. Because even though you can prosper in certain conditions, it's going to look different. It's always going to be because the presence of God is with us. And that is how we can just truly be striving toward our goal of glorifying Him. But at the end, it says, while Joseph was there in prison, the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. So the warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in the prison, and he was made responsible for all that was done there. Which doesn't sound like maybe the textbook definition of prospering, because he's in prison, and his prospering is to be put in charge of the other prisoners. It's not a super high status. But when you're in prison and you've been sold into slavery and things have gone poorly, this is what prospering can look like. So I don't know if that connects with anyone specifically, but I was just challenged to really think about how I'm defining prospering in different scenarios, and the fact that when you're doing really well, maybe prospering looks differently than when you're doing poorly. But regardless, that it is always going to be connected to how much we are really devoting ourselves to God and trying to know Him more, and His presence is going to be what really makes us prosper.